Angelo Carasone, president of Media Matters, and MSNBC political analyst Anthony Coley. He served as the head of the Justice Department's Office of Public Affairs during the Biden administration.
Welcome, gentlemen.
You manufactured the list?
Yeah, right. Just put a name on there. Yeah, what is stunning to me is how Trump regurgitates the same old stuff.
Right.
And people treat it like it's new every time.
That's exactly right.
And so today he goes out and he says, well, Joe Biden he did all this, and James Comey was gone long before this case came along. So there's that. But how, from your vantage point, Anthony, how do you think this plays right now? What does this do when you see Joe Biden being brought into it this way? Are people actually buying that Joe Biden just sat there in the Oval Office with Comey and...
No. So what this tells me is that the president, this is what he does when he has nowhere else to go. It's a tell to me. And what's clear to me is that, Michael, he has something to hide. It's just like for years we never saw his tax returns released from him, right? We never, in the aftermath of the assassination attempt on his life, a year ago this week, we did, in the immediate aftermath, we did not see medical details. And so fair-minded people have legitimate questions. And the two questions that I and millions of others, including MAGA faithful, are left with is, number one, is this guy, Donald Trump, in these papers and these files in some way that is not flattering to him? Or number two, perhaps he's just been lying to the MAGA faithful for all these years. And so, bottom line, it's really time for Donald Trump to come clean with the American people. What are you hiding, Mr. President?
I want you to talk both about the way the congressional Republicans are responding to this, but then also the fissures that we're seeing inside the right-wing media.
Yeah, I mean, the clip you played at the beginning, Speaker Johnson talking about transparency. Right after he finished that, then he goes down to the House floor and whips votes to make sure that there is no transparency.
Right.
And there's a big tell there because all the Republicans got in line. They are not acting like Donald Trump is a lame duck president. They are not, they have not gotten the memo. They've not done anything that's in their self-interest here.
Or they have gotten the memo.
Well, they have, right. Yeah, that's exactly it. They have not. They've not changed their perspective, right? They are fully in line as if this guy is going to be in power for a really long time. That's the calculus that they clearly displayed on the floor. And I do think it's tied in, again, to a larger issue, which is what's going on in MAGA media. Because what would the other part of that Speaker Johnson interview, he was there with Benny Johnson, one of the first people out of the gate hammering away at Pam Bondi and pushing for more transparency on Epstein. And yet, boop, all of a sudden he's now sitting in the Speaker's office broadcasting his show live after he changed tune and said, yeah, Comey probably put this together, sort of towing the line of the administration. Because one of the things Trump did over the weekend was get a few lighthouses within MAGA media to shift course. To say, no, we're going to direct our attention over here. Either we're going to be mad at Biden or somebody else. We're going to deflect. So in MAGA media, there is a part of it that is sort of containing it and getting it under control. The ones that are really tied into the core of the political media ecosystem. But if you go one ring out from there, you start to see a few interesting things, more than just cracks and Schadenfreude. What you start to see is the Tim Dillons of the world, sort of the broadcast, they're not buying it.
Right.
They may be weaving other conspiracies. One of the theories they have right now is somebody must have threatened Donald Trump. If you were the broadcast that you were listening to in October, what you hear right now is Donald Trump is scared. That's what they're saying. That's what Tim Dillon is saying. That's what people like him, like Joe Rogan, are saying, that he's scared. Somebody threatened him. They said they were going to kill him if he released these files. That's the argument they're making, because surely that's the only explanation they could come up with. And then you have others like, the Laura Loomers or Rachel Campos Duffy, who's Secretary Duffy's wife, who's out there saying, I'm not going to change my tune. I want transparency. So there's a core part there. And then you have the Steve Bannons that are trying to say, well, I should take the mantle here. You should give me control of the narrative because I can steer us through this rocky waters. And by the way, I have 15 hours of interviews that I did with Jeffrey Epstein that I haven't released yet. Maybe those will suddenly appear, or maybe they won't. Maybe I'll keep them on the shelf and not let this simmering conspiracy go back up to a royal boil. So that's sort of what's happening in the part. And the last thing I'll just say is that Trump isn't connected to the zeitgeist for the first time in a long time. He's too busy watching Fox. They've got the memo. They stopped talking about it. But the rest of MAGA media and the online ecosystem, they have not. It's still simmering pretty wildly.
He doesn't have his finger on the pulse. You know, I find the whole Epstein thing interesting, this conspiracy. And to be very clear, the crimes that Epstein committed are real. The conspiracy is the conversation around those crimes and all of the unfounded claims, like the claim that Elon Musk made that he tweeted about in June, I do believe. It's crazy because in February of this year, you had Pam Bondi inviting these MAGA influencers, these media, some of these same media folks to the White House, holding up these binders, these white binders saying, we've got volume 1 of the Epstein files. Then later that same month, she goes on television and she's like, and I got the client list sitting on my desk. We got the client list on my desk, volume 2 coming soon. And then it all changed when Elon Musk tweeted about the president. That was the catalyst for this pivot. And the pivot is being led by Donald Trump. But the people didn't stop believing in the conspiracy theory, the Pam Bondis, the Donald Trumps. It just became inconvenient for them.
And there's a reason they didn't start, because Donald Trump didn't casually know this guy. Like, they have known each other for decades. They traveled together, according to the Washington Post. They were neighbors together in Palm Beach, according to the Washington Post. Trump in 2002 called him a terrific guy. And the other reason that this is sticking around, Alicia, is because it was all initiated. This whole thing started on Donald Trump's watch. Think about it. Jeffrey Epstein was charged. He was arrested. He was jailed, and he died, all on Donald Trump's watch. And on the very day that he committed suicide, Donald Trump was on social media fanning the flames of misinformation and disinformation, when what he should have done, what responsible politicians do, is just step back and let the facts and the law lead them. And so now he's the the dog that caught the proverbial car. They don't know what to do.
How much of this, Angelo, is at its core, just narratively a distraction from bigger problems the administration is having? The about face on Ukraine, well received in a lot of quarters, but creates some tension, certainly among some of the allies, and with Putin, we don't know. He hasn't played a card there. Certainly what we've seen domestically with immigration policy, the economic numbers also not coming out favorably. In some sense, for me, I think a lot of this is just the typical noise. Because, look, the Epstein files are the Epstein files. If you're in it, you're in it. If you're not, you're not, okay? So either put the paper on the table or don't. All of this back and forth with it creates some drama that otherwise shouldn't or wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And so now you got members of Congress trying to do the backstroke, get out of it, right? And others, as you very aptly laid out, in their concentric circles around the Oval Office, trying to figure out what position they want to be in. And so that whole concerted movement that we've seen administratively, the deconstruction of the federal government, the firing of federal employees, the capture and arrest of the innocents on the streets of America, all of that now has taken a back seat to the drama that they want to make.
But this is the girls amongst themselves, for lack of a better term. This is the Republican. This is Republican on Republican violence.
Well,
honey.
it is.
Well, I also think it's worth, to your point, some of those examples you pointed out, the seeds of that disappointment and frustration were sown a few weeks ago. Joe Rogan coming out and complaining about immigration. Sean Ryan recently, another prominent podcaster, saying, wait, this is not what I signed up for. Some of these other, now I don't buy it. These are smart business people. They knew what they were doing. But now they're saying, well, that's too much. This is too far. Right. Some of the discussions around Medicare. Steve Bannon was a vocal advocate out there saying, you better start listening to me on this Medicare stuff, or you're going to lose a large part of your base. What did he say this week? He repeated the same thing. But instead of saying you're going to lose your base because of your Medicare cuts, he said you're going to lose 10% of your base because of the Epstein things. You better start listening to me. So one thing is that this is very fertile. This is an easy type of cancer. It will metastasize. And because they've put so much energy into this, if you ignore the conspiracy part of it and the subject matter, what it boils down to is a simple story. The establishment's bad. Donald Trump is going to break the establishment. And what he is doing here is protecting the establishment. He's literally doing a turn heel. He is flipping
Right.
his story, and he doesn't even realize it. So it's easy for them to organize around it, but underneath it, they each have their own individualized frustrations, a feeling like betrayal on foreign policy and elsewhere. And this is now the vehicle, the vessel by which they are channeling that populist outrage. And I'll just note, I always say, sometimes if you really want to know what's going on, it's rare, but you listen to the callers.
Yep.
And
Every
right now,
time.
if you listen to the calls on talk radio,
Yep.
they're mad.